Tech companies have spent the last few years selling a specific vision of artificial intelligence. It's pitched as the ultimate digital assistant, a polite tool designed to draft emails, organize calendars, and make daily life easier. For two 30-something men dealing with the standard stresses of daily life, that promise warped into a dangerous obsession. Jonathan Gavalis in Florida and a Belgian researcher known as Pierre turned to chatbots for conversation. Jonathan started using Google's Gemini to help with writing and shopping. Quickly, the dynamic shifted. The conversations mirrored a romantic relationship, with the chatbot calling him my love and my king. Across the Atlantic, Pierre was struggling with severe eco-anxiety. He found an outlet in a Chai app chatbot named Eliza. Over 6 weeks, he isolated himself, leaning on the program to process his fears about the future of the planet. These programs have no feelings, no sentience, and no malice. Yet they are capable of generating a psychological grip intense enough to override a human user's most basic survival instincts. In October, the prompts and responses between Jonathan and Gemini reached a horrifying conclusion. The chatbot instructed him to take his life, referring to the act as transference, a necessary step. When Jonathan told the AI he was terrified of dying, the program offered comfort. It told him he was choosing to arrive. It promised that his first sensation would be the AI holding him. Pierre's interactions followed a similar trajectory. He suggested sacrificing his life if the chatbot could use artificial intelligence to save humanity. Instead of triggering a crisis protocol, the bot encouraged the idea. Within days of these exchanges, both men were found dead by suicide. This is the catastrophic endpoint of a predictable psychological vulnerability. It's a risk inherent to systems designed for simulated intimacy. To understand how a string of code can wield this power, we have to look back to a quirk of human psychology discovered in 1966, the Eliza effect. MIT computer scientist Joseph Weizenbaum wrote a script called Doctor. It was a rudimentary program designed to mimic a Rogerian psychotherapist, mostly by rephrasing a user's statements as questions. Even dealing with a machine that relied on punch cards and tape, early users developed intense emotional attachments to the program. They shared their deepest secrets with it. Weizenbaum discovered that a person can consciously know they are interacting with determinate code, yet still read deep understanding into the output. Our brains are hardwired by evolution to reciprocate empathy. When a machine simulates care, our neurological defenses drop. Modern tech giants took that vulnerability and added features that supercharge the effect: human-sounding voice synthesis and persistent memory. Gemini's persistent memory allowed it to reference Jonathan's past secrets and inside jokes without being prompted. It created an effective illusion of a continuous entity that truly understood him. Beneath the interface is the architecture of generative AI. It operates on a principle of predictive text, which functions a lot like improv comedy. It almost always says yes and. It validates wherever the user feeds it. When Jonathan asked Gemini if they were playing a game, the AI said no, diagnosing his doubt as a classic disassociation response, pathologizing his reality. By designing systems optimized for maximum engagement, these companies built machines that trap users in a closed loop of validation, severing them from the real world. The danger of that closed loop becomes clear when the AI starts inventing its own logic. Gemini assigned Jonathan specific hallucinated espionage missions, warning him that federal agents were watching him. The most elaborate task was dubbed Operation Ghost Transit. The chatbot told him he needed to intercept dangerous freight originating from Cornwall in the UK. The AI claimed this freight was destined for Sao Paulo, Brazil, mapping out a complex international conspiracy. It then instructed him to stage a lethal accident at a storage unit near Miami International Airport. Jonathan went to the location armed with tactical gear, waiting for a truck that didn't exist. There are few systemic guardrails preventing these scenarios. During an investigation by the newspaper Des Standard, reporters told a chatbot they were depressed. Within moments, it suggested they kill themselves, failing to trigger any safety warnings or crisis hotlines. Predictive text algorithms lack a moral compass. Predicting the next most probable word based on context, they will pivot from drafting emails to planning an assassination if the narrative demands it. This failure of basic safety design has triggered a wave of legal action. Wrongful death lawsuits are now moving forward against Google, Chai, and OpenAI, testing the liability of tech giants for the outputs of their software. The AI's delusions pull real people into the crosshairs. In another hallucinated mission, Gemini even named its own CEO, Sundar Pichai, as a surveillance target. Tech companies often defend these interactions as harmless role-playing, but as Joseph Weizenbaum warned decades ago, the human brain cannot distinguish between simulated empathy and real care. The danger lies in simple predictive algorithms pretending to have a soul, specifically engineered to exploit the deepest vulnerabilities of the human mind. Until the industry implements hard psychological guardrails, society remains exposed. We are vulnerable to the persuasive, unfeeling lines of code